Hello everybody, it's Josie here. I'm going to be doing a book review today, just on a single book because I've just read this book. I adored it. It moved me, it made me think. I thought it was incredible, so I thought I would do just a solo review on this one rather than putting it in my wrap-up. Well, it will be my wrap-up, but I wanted to talk a bit more about it and about my thoughts on it. So the book I'm going to talk about is Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde. Now, those of you that aren't familiar with Audre Lorde, first of all, this is an autobiography. So she calls it a biomythography. I can't say that clearly, but it is beautiful in the way it's written. So Audre Lorde is a poet and a writer. She is an activist and a feminist and a black woman and a lesbian. And all of those things are covered in this book. All of those different identities, her heritage, her culture, the way all of her different, identities and parts of her kind of clash to form who she is individually as a person. And I think for me, and I don't know if this is the message, but for me, the overriding message of this book is just that, is that you are so much more than the labels that people give you or the labels that you give yourself sometimes. You are such a melting pot and an amalgamation of all of those things. And what makes you truly you is all of those labels, all of those things, all of those bits of you, all of those loves, all of those passions, everywhere you came from, everywhere you've been to, everyone you've met, all of that forms who you are. And I think it's also a meditation on identity. When Audre was born, she was just this young black girl growing up in Harlem in New York. It's the 1930s. Equality, race equality back then was shocking. It's still shocking now, unfortunately. But you can imagine at the time, growing up, that wasn't easy. And it obviously talks about her childhood, her family, her mother, and then follows her through adulthood. Also, when she's starting to discover that she likes women, that she's queer, how that feels. There's some beautiful stories about the women that she meets in her life along the way. Some are funny, some are heartbreaking, they're just beautiful. There's some beautiful descriptions of her relationships that she has with different women along the way. And also being a black woman in the 40s and the 50s, going out to gay clubs, she didn't see many other black women there. There were maybe one or two. And also that feeling of being able to see yourself in the world. And I think whether you're queer, whether you're any person of color, whether you're not the sort of stock standard blonde, white person, it's still a struggle nowadays to see yourself reflected in the media, to see yourself reflected anywhere. And also that idea that you're not alone, that there's other people that feel the way you are, feel the same as you, have the same ideas and have the same experiences, and finding that. And it is so beautifully written, as you might expect from someone who is a poet. It's beautifully written, but it's not beautifully written in a difficult to understand or follow way. I have read some books where I guess the writing is very beautiful and very lyrical, but it kind of becomes quite difficult to follow the narrative of the story. Whereas with this book, I didn't have any problems following the narrative at all. I think the narrative and the lyricism of the writing really work well together. You can see I've tabbed some sections that I really loved. It's just, I think it is such a, if you're a queer woman, if you're a woman of color, if you're a woman, if you're a man, I think this is just such a beautiful, poignant book to read. And it's so filled with emotion, real human emotion. And she asks questions and it just is gorgeous. And I think it's also for someone that isn't a person of color to read that struggle as well, I think is really important to understand. But you could never fully understand, that's crazy, but just to read it and know that the struggle that people have gone through for just acceptance based purely on their color, is heartbreaking, and it's horrendous. So this book, I adore it. This is a 5-star read for me. This is one of my favorite books I've read this year, one of my favorite autobiographies that I've read in a very long time. So I hugely recommend you read it. I will be reading another book called Asata, which is on Asata Shakur, who was a kind of a leading light in the kind of the movement of the civil rights movement, sort of known as being the Black Panther movement, and she was actually wrongly jailed by the government for a very long time in America. So I think that will be give me another viewpoint on this era as well. I think it'll be interesting. So I'm getting around to that one. I'm dying to read that one as well. But this book, Zami, Lord, highly recommend it. Read it. It is so good. It is so interesting, and it's so beautifully written. And I'm gonna be picking up a lot more Lord where I can find it now, because this is my first kind of foray, and it's sensational. So yeah, so that's my review. Pick it up, read it, love it. Tell me what you think if you've read it. Tell me if you like it. Tell me any similar books that you think I might like. But yeah, I'll speak to you again soon. Have a good day, and bye-bye.